I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV for the week of September 21st, 2016. Welcome to another week of awesome comics. And we're going to highlight things that we thought were the best of the best. My pick of the week, Batman number 7. By Tom King, Steve Orlando, and Riley Rossmo. This is Night of the Monster Men, Part 1. This is the first official DC Rebirth crossover. It's going to cross over amongst the Bat books. That would be Batman, Nightwing, and Detective Comics. I think that's it.
Which you could tell from the people who are on the cover.
Yeah, actually. And you get the first two parts this week. This just, it feels good. Basically, there have been some foreshadowing in previous Batman issues with Hugo Strange kind of tinkering behind the scenes, and it's a buffed up Hugo Strange. I don't know what's going on with that, but you also see kind of a naked Hugo Strange lifting weights in this issue, so fair warning, be prepared. No full frontal.
Gird yourself.
Yes, gird your loins. So Hugo Strange is reanimating corpses and turning them into horrific monsters, and that's where the Monster Men come from. And in the middle of that, we get a hurricane bearing down on Gotham City. So Batman has assembled his crew, and they are initially going to be on search and rescue and evacuation duty, but then these monster men start showing up, and plans change. So
these aren't just monsters; these are like massive,
they're like kaiju
kind of huge monsters.
They're pretty horrific. Rossmo does a great job of drawing this issue, by the way. That's one of the reasons why I liked it, is it just has a different feel to it because of the artwork. Story-wise, it's outstanding. Really reminded me of the stories from the 90s, like Cataclysm and Contagion, where, again, Batman and his team are racing against something that they have no control over to try and save the citizens of Gotham City. So it is excellent. Don't pass it up just because it's not written by King. I think it's plot by Steve Orlando and Tom King. The script is by Steve Orlando, and he does an outstanding job. The second part, as I mentioned, is also out this week. That's Nightwing number 5. This is plot by Tim Seeley and Steve Orlando, and script by Steve Orlando again, with artwork by that guy. Where are we here? Ooh. Roge Antonio. Raj, R-O-G-E. How would you pronounce that?
Roger.
Yes, Roger. Great stuff. Don't miss the first two parts of Night of the Monster Men, and really curious to see where this goes. And these monsters are pretty freaky, man. They are like the stuff of nightmares.
Speaking of the stuff of nightmares, my pick of the week is 7 to Eternity number 1. Now, this is from Image Comics, written and created by Rick Remender, with art by Jerome Pena. Okay, I want to make sure they didn't have a co-creator.
The creative team behind Uncanny X-Force, by the way.
Also the creative team behind Fear Agent. And yes, maybe the one with the girl, Strange Girl?
No, not Strange Girl.
No?
Different artist.
Different artist, okay. So this is, Remender and Pena have allegedly been working on this for a number of years, creating this fantasy universe, and it is super strange. We've got big, weird, Cthulhu-y monsters, magically turned versions of regular creatures. We've got what I think might be a predecessor to Groot. And then we have normal humans dropped amongst it, fighting with swords and bow and arrow, and then maybe a little bit of magic and some guns. And, of course, in a world of giant monsters, the things that people are fighting are each other, because man is the real monster. We've got a dark, I don't want to say Jabba the Hutt, or like a big bad who's manipulating people and taking over the world, and the main character, or the main family, has essentially said, screw that, we don't like your world, we are going to go off into the woods and live on our own. And of course they do not let them, they pursue them down, so it becomes a matter of either kill the big bad emperor type, or give in to him and lose your honor or lose your pride, but survive and allow your family to keep living. And it's just a very cool story. You're never really exactly sure what the heroes are going to do. There's all kinds of wicked cool magic. There's a guy who I'm fairly certain is the Wizard from the Fantastic Four, but like terrifying and zombified. And yes, Pena does an amazing job with the art in this issue. It's really pretty, even when he's drawing really horrific things. And I was just enthralled with 7 to Eternity, and I'm excited to see what Remender's going to do with it.
Hands down, the best looking book this week.
Absolutely.
Next up for me is Amazing Spider-Man number 19, Before Dead No More, Part 3, Full Auto. So this book is for any of you that were fans of Superior Spider-Man. The end. Even if you didn't like Superior Spider-Man and you've been reading Spider-Man, you're going to want to check this one out. This does explain where our buddy Otto Octavius has been hiding for quite a while and what his plans are to seek revenge on that do-gooder Peter Parker. This is a must-read. Do not skip this issue. Must-read. And again, if you haven't been reading Spider-Man for a while, but you are a fan of Superior Spider-Man, you want to come back and check this one out. Dan Slott has been saying some stuff on Twitter this past week about the clone conspiracy, and it sounds like it's going to be an earth-shattering event in the world of Spider-Man. And actually, the main Spider-Man book, like the main story, is happening in Clone Conspiracy, and Amazing is going to kind of take a back seat while Clone Conspiracy is going on. So the lead-up is on its way. Clone Conspiracy's out in about 3 weeks, so we don't want to miss that. But this was really good. I'm so glad I jumped back on this series a couple issues ago when I had some downtime, because it's so good. It's so good.
All right, so who's not tired of politics yet? Aw. With this, next up for me, we've got a Civil War twofer from Brian Michael Bendis. The first is obviously Civil War number 5 with art by David Marquez. This is the long-awaited next issue in the Civil War story, and this is the one that sort of drove home the fact that the whole story is an analogy for the world that we live in. I mean, we've got a major presidential candidate talking about putting people on a list and deporting them and making people be segregated, and this is a world where that could happen. You've got villains, people seeing things. We see another vision from Ulysses. Last time it was the Hulk, and we know how that ended. But that's also a sort of a clear-cut case, because at the end of the day, the Hulk is a rampaging monster that's destroyed cities. What happens when a vision maybe implies something about someone who doesn't have the dark past of the Hulk? Where do the heroes stand? And it's awesome. It's beautiful. It's brilliant. It's great. And as a sort of corollary to that, Brian Bendis and Valerio Schiti? Yes, Valerio Schiti. Guardians of the Galaxy 12. This is almost a companion piece that wraps around the story in 5, because at the end of 4 we saw the Guardians show up to help Carol, and this shows that from the Guardians' point of view. But it also has a really great lead in. The first, 3 or 4 pages is the Guardians coming to Earth, and Rocket telling us everything that is wrong with Earth, and several of his observations are very accurate. Great personality, great inter-team banter. I love the way Bendis writes Ben Grimm, and it's nice to see characters that don't really have much of a stake in Civil War, see them give their opinion of what's going on and kind of come at it from a different angle.
You know what I think we should do for politics?
What's that?
Nobody vote this election. Nobody vote. Because we all know the system is screwed up. Pardon this little sidebar here. We all know that the system is broken beyond fixing at this point. And it affects everything from education to finance to healthcare to the judicial system. It's all broken. And the people that are there are not going to fix it. So I don't know what the solution is, but electing either one of these people is not going to help anybody. So I say we all stay home, nobody vote this election, and send a message to Washington, you suck.
Yeah, but voter turnout's been down for decades. They haven't got the message yet.
I
say we do it like the Hugos. For the Hugo Awards, there's actually all of the people who are nominated and then a no award. And if more people vote for no award, they don't give out the award in that category. If nobody elects a president, come back and try again, guys.
Write in vote of no confidence. That's what I say. All right, finally for me this week is a really refreshing, fun, uplifting book, Trinity, number 1, by Francis Manapul. He writes and draws this story, and it's Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman, the Trinity of the DC Universe, the backbone of the DC Universe. And this is Bruce and Diana being invited over for dinner to Lois, Clark, and John's house by Lois. Lois realizes that her husband, Clark, aka Superman, from the Earth that we all knew and grew up with, most of us, is in the core DC universe, but these heroes don't really know him. Their Superman is dead. And Lois realizes that Clark needs the support of his two closest friends, Diana and Bruce. So this is a chance for them to get to know him, to get to know his family, and it's fun, it's lighthearted, and then some weird stuff happens at the end. So this is, I don't know how many issues this is going to be, but Manipul's artwork is amazing. He's a very competent storyteller as well, and I love seeing these three characters together. And I love it when they're friends. I don't like it when my heroes fight. I mean, that's Civil War. I understand the reasoning, but Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are a team, and they are the backbone of the DC universe, as I said. So this book is exploring that relationship with the new character of Superman.
I also noticed this is, and I'm sure it's probably happened before. This is the first time I noticed that he changed his name again.
Yeah, it's Clark Smith.
Yeah, in the Lois and Clark
That was
book,
in Superman. Yeah.
Was it in Superman?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, because it was something else, right? It was White.
Yeah, it was White.
Was it Clark White, or was it?
I think
was
so.
Something else. White?
No, was it
John
White? I don't know.
Anyway.
But yeah, it's, and if you still haven't, for one reason or another, checked out the Superman and Lois Lane series that was going on during Convergence, you really should, because it sets up everything that's been going on in the Superman books and Rebirth, and it's really good. I'm so glad that they made that decision. And DC is doing the right thing in going back, and they've gone back to basics, and it's showing in quality storytelling and in sales.
Next up for me, we've got a twofer. Also in the DC line, we've got Raven #1. It's a 6-issue mini written by Marv Wolfman. Was he creator of Raven?
Creator of Raven.
Creator of Raven, excellent. With art by Alison Borges. And this is the story... So one thing that you'll notice in pretty much every DC book you pick up this week is, from the point of view of, this isn't a spoiler if you read DC at all, or if you're going to read this week's books, you're going to find out immediately. Pretty much from the point of view of all in-universe characters, Tim Drake is dead. According to
Pick up Detective 940 for details. Yeah. Sorry, we don't have any.
Yeah, we're sold out. The publisher is sold out, so hopefully we'll see a second printing. And so that's one of the things that's trickling down in the different books. It's one of the things that's driving Batman's psychological state in the Monster Men. And in Raven, that's one of the first things you hear when the issue starts. She talks about how the old Teen Titans that were kind of centered around Red Robin, he was sort of the organizing figure, have disbanded because Tim is dead. And she doesn't run off. She gets in touch with her family, her mother's sister, who she doesn't really know, and moves in with them to have kind of a normal teenage life, a la the Supergirl TV show, I guess, or the Supergirl book. And it's good. It's very interesting to see Raven's powers of emotional absorbing and emotional affecting in a world full of teenagers that are already emotional basket cases anyway. So that's a lot of fun. And it's nice to see Marv Wolfman just working again. Good work, Marv. Way to not be dead yet. Next up, Wicked and Divine. This is a one-shot called 1831 AD. You can pick this up even if you haven't been reading Wicked and Divine recently. If you have even the broadest understanding of what's going on in the Wicked and Divine books, you can check it out and have a great time. I really like what Kieran Gillen's doing. Art in this issue is by someone Hans Gruber, I believe.
Hans and Franz.
Stephanie Hans is the artist. But the core conceit of the Wicked and Divine universe is every 90 years a group of teenagers become gods for 2 years, then die. And this time we're seeing the people who are gods in 1831, which is really interesting to see it in a different world. We're seeing them very near the end of their cycle where a lot of their compatriots have already died off. And it's just really cool to see the same broad overall story, but through a completely different lens of time and place and person.
As always, there is a very good reason to go to your local comic shop this week. Many very good reasons to go to your local comic shop. Lots of great stuff this week. If you have any questions, please post those in the comments below and we will get to them, as we always do. We appreciate those, absolutely. If you like this week's episode, give us a thumbs up on YouTube and make sure to hit the subscribe button so you stay notified when we post new videos. And if you're local, we hope to see you soon, if we haven't seen you already, to come into the shop for New Comic Book Day and New Comic Book Week. And I think that's it. Any parting thoughts?
No.
No parting thoughts. Thanks for watching, folks. We will see you next time.